Welcome back to the Blizzard Arena, ladies and gentlemen. Plenty of energy expended by our crowd here in today's matches. We've still got one more coming at you.
Yeah, it'll be the Hangzhou Spark versus the Atlanta Reign. So I think for me, the Hangzhou Spark are one of the teams that I'm more interested to see in this new meta in the role lock because they were so strong, pretty much primarily just using triple tank, triple support. I want to see how they adjust.
Right, when they first came into the league, they were known for using a lot of DPS, and they went away from it completely. On the other side of thing, the Atlanta Reign have had an interesting travel through this season. Let's see, let's set the scene and see where we are in terms of our overall standings, because for the Spark, they're up there in the top echelon. They are looking very good. A great win-loss ratio. You can see the top 3 teams are kind of farming, the bottom 10 in terms of map differential, but they're looking pretty there.
I mean, the Spark have been beating everybody pretty handily outside of the Shock, NYXL, and the Titans. You think they're one of the stronger teams in the league. The Reign, they have an opportunity with a win here today to even get past the Dallas Fuel, get into that top 12. They would obviously, if they win, have a better map differential, sitting at even right now, which is actually incredible because you look at from 7 all the way down, everybody's in the negatives outside of just them at even. And Seoul Dynasty.
This is what happens when we have a lot of map 5s throughout the Overwatch League, which obviously reduce your differential even in a win, and also 3 teams that are getting huge blowout victories ahead of the rest. Let's talk a little bit about the Reign, though, Matt, because, you know, they're known as the team that managed to take down the NYXL twice in a row. And at their homestand weekend, of course, in Atlanta, they looked very, very good. They got victories in both of their matches, but it's worth noting that their opponents weren't coming from the top cut of the league.
Yeah, but still some wins. I mean, the Dallas Fuel, they go undefeated when they play in Dallas, and they come after that. They win the next game, and then they just lose pretty much all throughout. But Atlanta, we'll see if they can take some of the momentum they gained winning both games in Atlanta into stage 4.
We need to talk now, I guess, about Hangzhou, because, yes, you pointed it out earlier on, they were a team that got so many of their wins playing a 3-3 style, triple tank, triple support, which is not relevant anymore. And in lieu of that, you've seen them actually call up some of their players who were two-way to now just be main on the roster here. You know, Beji is one of them, is definitely one worth keeping an eye out.
Yeah, and they also believe they recall No Smite from a 2A player to the main roster, but Godspeed going to have to show up in a big way. He was primarily their Zarya player through a lot of the season thus far. They're going to need him to pick up a lot of the damage dealers. Maybe we see him on the Sombra. I think what this team could do is put together a really nice dive with Yushui on Winston. I think Yushui getting him on Winston as much as possible probably going to be something the Spark try and do.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you know much about I'm not going to do a wolf here, but if you know about the history of Hangzhou before the Overwatch League, it wasn't like they didn't know how to play DPS. No, it was definitely something that, you know, was in their wheelhouse. And they have a few extra DPS players that are waiting in the wings for their chance. We'll have to see if they walk out today. But first, let us welcome to the stage, fresh from their first home appearance, the Atlanta Reign.
Oh, take a little while to get out.
They were chill. No, sorry. Okay, so first of all, Enlair leads the charge here, so that makes me think there's been a substitution or a change up in the DPS position. No Bay on the walkout here.
Which makes me think Enlair will be playing the Widowmaker if they need it, as Baby Bay, really strong hit scan player. Play a lot of the McCree Widowmaker, bring in Enlair. Looks like Dogman, though, and Masa going to be starting here today, so not too many changes for the Atlanta Reign.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of what they'll play, though, they're offering, I'm very interested, because now Erster is also at a Brig prison. Okay, this guy just dominated, you know, observing the Chinese contenders region. This guy was touted, I mean, by me admittedly, but also by others as a, you know, a potential superstar DPS player coming into this season. Now, obviously, then we realized, wait, the Reign aren't going to play that so much. We've seen Erster get some sick, you know, clips with the Tracer and stuff like that, so keep your eyes on him. But now, definitely worth time to bring their opponents out. Let's welcome to the stage, the Hangzhou Spark.
I think you better bow down.
Who will it be for the Spark? Well, no surprise to see IDK leading the charge here. Well, the offering from this team, Yushui is still going to be, you know, obviously a consistent factor in this roster. You can always trust him to do work in the tank position. It's definitely the DPS role we're looking at.
Nothing new here from the Sparks. They're going to roll out with the lineup they've been primarily using since about, you know, the end of stage 1. So they'll have Yushui and Rhea in terms of the tanks, Adora and Godspeed as their damage dealers, and then Baby and IDK on support, where I think if you look at the top 3, I think those teams are like really locked in terms of like your power rankings.
Absolutely.
Like those are your 3 strongest teams. I think how the Spark come out today is big for the rest of the league as well, to see how open it is. Like, is that 4th spot really as open as some people think, that the Spark may not be as good? Or do the Spark come out and start to crush and they really solidify that top 4 spot?
But here's what we know about the Spark. Adora is not going to be playing Brigitte, and Godsby is not going to be playing Zarya. So there's definitely going to be some new stuff to look forward to. But yeah, Erster on your screen. I want to see what kind of roles we'll see him go for. We've seen him on the projectile, seen him on the forest, seen him on... I mean, this was a nutty play. Remember this one?
I get to watch that clip all day.
That was a 6K in the end for him. We've seen his forest. So we have seen him in Atlanta Reigns sort of, multi-DPS offerings. Now I think as we have sort of 2-2-2, a lot of those individual DPS players are going to have chances to shine a little bit more. They're going to have to put in a bigger effort as well to make the difference when it comes to getting damage done in general.
There's some real highlight clips there. But it'll be the map set here presented by Toyota for today's series. Ilios, Anubis, Kings Row, and Route 66. So get a look on Ilios to kick things off. Maybe some Widowmaker, depending on maps. You think a lot of Orisa Hog, potentially.
Yeah, and from out like Kings Row, we definitely used to see a lot of Orisa Hog on that map, sometimes with double sniper. So far in the season, before this stage, Kings Row was absolutely a 3-3 map, and that's how teams wanted to play it out. But I'm curious here as we head into Ilios, and you can see that the Reign have had a pretty good record on this map so far, even being 9-12. And bear in mind, the Atlanta Reign do have an opportunity to start to crawl back into that top 12 after a really rough stage in stage 3 and stage 2.
Well, I think Atlanta has to be pretty happy, though, that they come into this stage even in map differential, right? Sitting at 0. And then Dallas has been slumping. There's a few other teams that could go up or down, depending on how they adjust to the meta. Where Atlanta, if they come out pretty strong here in stage 4, they can make I don't want to say an easy run, but it won't be as difficult to get into the top 6.
I mean, they're competing with Houston, Guangzhou, the Los Angeles Valiant. These are other teams on the outside looking in right now who have shown a lot of promise already. So, even Hangzhou haven't even clinched a top 12 spot yet. They could not, if things go really badly, they could not even be in the play-ins for the playoffs. That's how...
It'd be very difficult for them to fall out, but it is a scenario that could happen. We're just got a little bit of a PC issue. Seems like Dogman is the one who is, well, he's not causing the issue. The issue is with him, though.
Do you think he does his hair like that on purpose?
You throw the headset on, it kind of messes it up a little bit. Like,
well, how do you keep yours so orderly, Matt?
The hair and makeup team, they do a good job. Sideshow's been giving me tips, though, on how to keep my hair good with the headset on.
Well, with Sideshow, it's easy. With so much forehead, there's much less hair to deal with.
Oh, that's a good point.
Out of the gates here, Hangzhou Spark in the signature pink. And they're going to be playing a Wrecking Ball-based composition, and they're going to be playing it into an Orisa Hog. Now, we'll see if they want to switch at all. But, Dogman definitely has to be careful, especially. He and Enlair are definitely going to be hunted down. Enlair clearly winning out in the Widowmaker trials in the on stage. Good opening from Enlair, but he gets jumped on straight away here. Godsby, I think he's pleased to be back in the tracer seat. Dogman just gets eviscerated.
Yeah, Gushue, he actually comes around one of the pillars and knocks Dako into the hole. Godsby able to pick up 2 final blows. A really clean opening there from the Hangzhou Spark.
This is such an aggressive composition from Hangzhou. You think about Moira, and you know that she's relatively short range as a healer, right? Unless she sends a biotic orb to heal a long way, but it travels very slowly. So, Bebe needs to be pushed forward with the rest of the Spark. There's really no backliners in this composition. Rhea and Gushue will be deep, and they really want to take space away. That's why I see Enlair switching to the main now. He'd like to control the pace over the course of this round.
Just a headshot there. It takes out Godsby as Rhea gone up on the high ground here above the Atlanta Reign, trying to put down some focus fire, and it's going to be difficult for Gushue to play that wrecking ball into this.
That's a good response. There's even Masa going over towards the Brigitte here. And now the Atlanta Reign, they can move on to the point here. They're quite prickly. The Spark are trying to jump on them there. They're going to find things turning against them very quickly. You think Hangzhou switch here, though? Like, is there a way to work this composition to avoid and Reaper?
I mean, they're still, like, holding on to the point right now. Is that they have the Moira in to contest. You're going to have Tracer here as well. Wrecking Ball. So they're not giving this point up that easy. Now it's given up, is they have to back out. But maybe you can stay on this for another push. I think if you're the Spark, you'll have EMP Minefield in a composition that really wants to play around each other. like no real long-range damage here for the Rain, right? I mean, you're playing, you're playing Reaper, Mei, and you're playing Brigitte, so they're all going to be clumped together. You can get a Coalescence in here too.
It gives the Spark a lot of room to work with, right? The Arena already taking up a very small part of the map, although they do control the point. Oh yeah, Darko was definitely caught in there. Nice wall thrown out. Keep him around. Didn't quite work out though. Godsby waiting for a chance to get a good pulse bomb here, and yeah, I mean, Popo was already down. A lot of front-loaded damage available here from the Spark, and they run over the top of the Rain. And this was the team that was rumored in scrims to be so aggressive before this Season 2 started that teams didn't know how to deal with Hangzhou.
Yeah, you know, when we heard about the Hangzhou Spark at the beginning of the season, like you mentioned, you know, with what we heard that they were playing, you would have thought teams were playing the Chengdu Hunters.
Yeah,
like, you know,
their voices would drop to a whisper when they talked about how brutal the scrims were.
Hangzhou's really good at the damage dealer setups. They don't really use it. They get really good at 3-3. Now they have an opportunity to make some of these aggressive compositions work.
Again, the Atlanta Rain dip a toe onto the point. This will force a response eventually from the Spark, but they're in no hurry. They can still maintain some presence on the point of their own. Working down the shield, there are very few ways to get into the back line of the Rain right now. That's what troubles them. And they're trying to push up. Oh, get a freeze on the Wrecking Ball here. Book then frozen. Trying to knock him into the pit, not going to work. Pile driver using the sound barrier for the Spark now. Durability at a premium. Self-destruct inside the small room. Rhea didn't find anything for it, and before he can neck back up, he's taken down. Going to be zoning here, essentially, with the Blizzard by Enlair, forcing the Spark away from the point. They lack the numbers, and Ersta's been chopping through them.
That'll be Atlanta. It takes the point back, but if you're Hangzhou, do you decide to switch here? I think this would be your better opportunity to do so. You don't have a minefield, you don't have a self-destruct, and you use Coalescence. You can potentially swap out the tanks. But maybe they want to commit to this and use that EMP. They have a pulse bomb, but then the pile driver comes down. You're going to get from like 70% to close to a minefield rather quickly.
Godsby with another pulse bomb to deliver. Does he wait on a door as EMP before he puts it on a tank and prevents Popo from shaking it off?
Looking for Dogman here, but the Brigitte is protecting him.
Massa, oh yeah, very aware of Godsby's proximity. Still, Godsby has a chance to drop in right now. Oh, it was eaten. Darko gets the pulse bomb eaten up. No chance for that one. Nice deeper play there. Darko hacked for a brief moment. Will be fine. Gushwei's taken down now, and this might be getting away from the Spark here. The Rain are in good position to retake, and the Spark used quite a lot of ultimates.
And look, they've committed to this. At this point, you can't really switch comp of the tanks. Maybe you can change your damage dealers, but looks like they're going to go all out with yet another push here. As Gushwei will end up with a minefield. You'll also have a Coalescence during the fight.
I mean, the minefield seems a decent way to spread the Rain out, or at least kind of punish them for clumping up so much. Gushwei, though, will need to hit some people as he rolls through to charge it up. Yeah, that's what he plans to do. Comes across the point. Doesn't go for the minefield, and he's put to sleep. This could be danger zone now for the Spark. Gushwei got hit with a bionic grenade as he tried to escape the point. He has to wait before he can return. He comes back with half of his health, and that's going to have to be enough. Drops on in, Coalescence now at the same time. The combo was down, Popo was walled off the rest of his team. Can they keep him alive? So they didn't have to. He was happy enough to stay around himself, eventually getting taken down. Maybe play for the backline here. Who's he healing? There's no players close to him. Look how spread his teammates are. He has to step up and play aggressive himself to have any impact. Here's the Blizzard. Everyone for the Spark able to get away, mobile as they are. And the Rain are going to play inside the Blizzard, prevent the Spark from advancing upon them. Godsby's down on Ursa, drops in from the rafters, finding Bebe. Looking to get the clean up here on Rhea. It's not an easy hitbox to find, but the spread is good. Ursa gets the finish, Musses into the pit, but that's it. The Atlanta Rain say, we're going to build our composition and force you to come to us. It's up to you to figure out how to break it.
They play a very strong anti-dive composition with the Mei and the Reaper. So we have been seeing more Reaper played this week than we have in a very, very long time. You know, almost like 2 years at this point. Looks like maybe an issue going on here with Enlair. We'll have to find out. We may need another pause, but Ursa on the Reaper. I thought he did a very nice job. Gets 3 kills. The Death Blossom that usually means automatic death. Only drops once during that. Naila put up 23% of the team's damage. Pretty big contributions there from Ursa.
It's interesting how we evaluate Reapers and the use of Death Blossom. It's not how many people that you can take down. It's whether you can take down people before you invariably get removed.
It's also quite funny that in a way, Reaper has become played. Reaper is very good against Sombra. because he doesn't really utilize a lot of like his abilities like in action that much. They're kind of used to either get out, get in, where when he gets EMP'd or hacked, it's really not that big of a deal because he has the lifesteal with the shotgun.
It still doesn't, like, you don't love that you can't Wraith form and get a reload, but you commit to the fight at that point. You have your own self-sustain with the lifesteal, like you said, so you can just hold down mouse 1 and hope for the best.
It's almost like his he became good by not having great abilities. Like he became good because he's able to just kind of plow damage through the Sombra in that case. So I believe we are good. We're just waiting a little bit to get back into game. But Atlanta able to take that first point. Didn't really see the Spark change anything up. Like once they committed to that dive, that's all they did.
Well, I remember there was one point about mid-round where you said, you know, they can have another crack at this. They had the minefield, they had coalescence, and, you know, but then they sort of stuck to it further on because they had 2 ultimates in a fight where you could switch or you could stay, but then they kept building ultimates on the other heroes, and they said, hey, we got a pulse bomb now, fam. What about this?
That's sometimes how it gets out of control, where you get so close.
Is it
you're like,
greed?
let's use another one. Yeah, it's either greed or you really had committed to the fact or believed in the fact that you had a superior comp and you're eventually going to break it. Just needed to get the ultimate combos the right way.
Now, sometimes it comes down to the execution, and you think you have what you need, but something goes wrong. Some ultimate gets negated or doesn't land where it needs to, and then all of a sudden your plan is for naught. So, we are back, and we're heading over to Lighthouse now. The Atlanta Reign lead 1-0.
If you remember, we were talking about how good Gushui is on Winston. Probably his best hero. I think that's an easy claim to make. But I think it's going to be very hard to play Winston, especially now into the Reaper.
I wonder if Gushui just has to tiptoe around it, try and avoid him, or some other way. I mean, Rhea will have to protect Gushui from the initial salvos from Erster. You see, Erster will stay entrenched here. He won't show himself too much. And he'll just spring forward now. Look at that quick D-suit on Rhea. Erster just finds him and just pounds those Hellfire shotgun pellets into the mech.
Yeah, I mean, but the way Gushui likes to play Winston, he can't really kind of tiptoe around the point. I mean, the guy is so aggressive. If you ever seen like some of his Primal Rage clips or just clips of him play in general, that right there, he tries to get some real estate on the point. It ends up getting Rhea D-mexed.
Erster now from the high ground. Here's the thing, Rhea and Gushui have to kind of dive him. Godspeed, I guess, can sort of tickle Erster, but again, it's not really a matchup you fancy yourself in. Pulse Bomb does nothing if Raid Form's available for the enemy Reaper. Coalescence already, by the way. Dogman able to get a lot of value because his team were the ones grouped close together on the point, unlike Bebe, who has to follow his front line into these fights. So IDK goes down, Coalescence definitely worthwhile there.
Yes. Dealing with the Reaper is going to be difficult. You're either going to have Godspeed go deal with the Reaper or Dora up on the high ground. I think you can't really send your tanks in there to their death. But now if the tanks put pressure on the point, they're going to walk into a big EMP, and then that Reaper is going to come out of nowhere.
Death Blossom, Sound Barrier, Minefield, Self-Destruct not far away. It's all there. Maybe with the Coalescence and the Rain prudently keep their heads down. So yeah, sure, the Spark can keep themselves healed up as they approach. Erster already doesn't have Wraith Form right now, so needs to be very careful about how he positions. Oh, we tried to teleport back, but Rhea gets rid of him. Erster was at risk of being knocked off the edge anyway. They focused some fire on towards Rhea, but he's still able to get away. He lets the mech go, and now he'll be able to trade that in for a new one if he survives, and he gets killed. It's IDK going down. It was Darko actually with a self-destruct. Godspeed's hacked right now. Doesn't seem too bothered. Not a lot of Rain players to punish him. Then he gets the recall just in time. Spark are playing with good numbers here, but Erster is still alive. Death Blossom still an opportunity. He comes in, removes Rhea, but the Pulse Bomb's going to shut Poke down. Gushui also going to bounce on top of Darko and remove it.
It's just extending this for so long is so good for the Atlanta Reign. Is the Primal Rage will come out from Gushui, claims one. The Coalescence here being used by Dogman, just trying to keep everybody topped up. But man, they got about like 10 to 15 extra %, if not more, out of that stall. So that's really good there for the Atlanta Reign. Is Hangzhou, that's kind of like a last fight scenario here. So they have to dump all their ultimates into that.
IDK is still on his way back from spawn there. He overextended a little bit as he tried to chase the Rain down, and Dogman punished.
Yeah, but you EMP this if you're end layer, and it's a good one. You win this, you win the map.
Oh, he had to go for it. He was forced out of him, and IDK was able to Sound Barrier after the fact. He wasn't hit by that EMP at all. Inlet definitely got forced there. He was out in the open and got focused down. Masada was able to start the fight off while getting rid of a door and denying further opportunities to get ult charge, and Erster, not much you can do about that one. Darko outside. with a big EMP. Now sat on the point, Ria desuited, he can't do much. And Bebe's Coalescence has very limited application right now. Numbers are not looking good for the Spark, and this map might be slipping away from them. Popo just playing aggressive. Ria's desuited again. He's been in and out of that neck. No one really to set up on the point now. It's going to have to be IDK to keep this one going. Gushui and Adora are close, but they get intercepted on the way. Yes, Gushui won't make the point, and the Atlanta Reign clean up map number 1, 2-0.
It is a really strong map for the Atlanta Reign, and the Hangzhou Spark, they had no answer for Ursur's Reaper. We were really excited to see him get out of playing that Brigade to get him back on the damage dealers. And he had a very good map number 1, 17 limbs, 9 final blows. We'll see if Atlanta can keep it going after this.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to Assist of the Week, presented by State Farm. The 6-seeded LA Valiant were holding the payload against the Hangzhou Spark right up to the point that Adora's Batiste dropped Amplification Matrix and Gonsby fired Hanzo's arrow right through. Even with Kuri's Transcendence, the damage was too much and the Spark broke on through.
Dragon Sight through the Amp Matrix, that's going to do a ton of damage, but it's going to be the Transcendence does not save Shax, and Cussa goes down too. That is a lot of damage to try to heal through.
Hangzhou Spark obviously just featured in that assist of the week. Not a great start for them. I think if there's any indicator that the landscape has changed in the Overwatch League, it would be that first map. I mean, we just heard Jake from the Houston Outlaws talk about, like, they don't think their understanding of the meta was very good and they're trying some new things here. It looks like the Spark ran themselves into a very similar composition from the rain on that first round, especially, and then the second just couldn't recover.
I think they had an idea, the Spark, running obviously that dive composition where they played Wrecking Ball and then they played Winston on point 2, but just playing it into the Reaper like constantly, I feel like it is going to be near impossible, especially going over the Winston. Like, they're lucky like they weren't running, let's say, like a Zenyatta as well, right? The Atlanta, like the Discord plus like the Reaper damage, the Sombra hack. So we'll see if the Spark adjusts as the series goes on.
And how's Gushui going to do Gushui things when, you know, his Wrecking Ball and his Winston are going to be shut down so nastily? His substitution for you might like this one. Baby Bay is back in the house.
As he comes in for end layer, so comes in potentially to play Widowmaker as we move to Temple of Anubis. That's kind of, they feel like where Baby Bay is going to make his mark on this team. Maybe like a hit scan specialist come in, play that Widowmaker role, play McCree as well.
Fun fact about Baby Bay, great dancer.
Phenomenal
Doesn't like karaoke though. Just we went out with him the last stage. He just didn't want to sing.
I believe him and Bren had a nice dance-off in Atlanta. I think that happened.
Oh yeah, that was good times. Yeah. So Baby Bay comes in here, likely fulfilling pretty similar roles what we saw Enlair play. We've seen Baby Bay play the Widowmaker a lot. I don't think we'll see anything of the nature of projectile DPS. I think Erster has that pretty well covered, and the Tracer. So, but for Baby Bay, what do we think? Hit scan?
Baby Bay plays some Genji in the past and whatnot.
So the Shock, was it not?
Yeah, last year the Shock. He didn't really like. I don't want to say like want to play it, or he like didn't really feel strong at it. But
I feel like prior to Architect, they didn't really have like a dedicated Genji player anyway.
No, and it was like prior to like Sinatra being able to play, even though Sinatra hasn't played Genji in a very long time. But the Spark 1-5 on this map. Obviously not ideal. They used the Symmetra teleporter to get Gushui up to the high ground. So they'll be playing up on the high ground with the Orisa barrier. They're going to get the Widowmaker up here as well. And this is a very popular composition last year. Now you bring the Immortality field into the mix. You can throw it behind the wall here. It makes it even stronger.
Yeah, that's called the Titanium Treehouse now. I mean, that's the change that's been made. Is it funny that I feel better about Atlanta Reign against top teams than I do against like mid-table teams? You think about the record.
They really play like up to their competition.
I love it.
Where some teams they struggle to play against like the higher level teams or like the lower level teams. Let's say Atlanta, the teams like their closest series against the teams you think they would like always just beat, and then the ones that they're able to win like in a pretty convincing manner against and beating NYXL twice.
Boomed them pretty hard. So the Atlanta Reign scout this out. They see that okay, the Spark want to stick together on the high ground. And Darko almost feels like that was a foregone conclusion. He was trying to maybe open the way for Erster to get in. Getting the Mercy is great, but it's got to be more than that. Getting the Mercy before Immortality field is even better. But the rest of the damage has to come from somewhere.
This could be so nasty though, as you see Baby already up to 70% towards an Amp Matrix. Is Urster still behind enemy lines?
I think Godspeed doesn't know this. He was just heading back to give the little taxi to IDK. So Urster's chilling below where Godspeed is standing. You see the outline on the right-hand side there.
And they switch from Wrecking Ball over to Winston here, so not as much sustainability, but a little bit easier to access that high ground. He's looking for the Genji here. He knows there's a Genji still in play.
Okay, so Godspeed trying to get some damage early here on the poke mode. It's very low. Dark is going to have to stave off a bit of that damage with Defense Matrix. Wasn't that enough? Will they get the D-suit on Rhea here? So almost a trade with Masa getting the finish. Darko maybe hoping he could ship here for the high ground. That was it. That's what they were looking for. Masa with the knockdown. He denies the high ground away from the Spark, and now this is where the real work begins. Adori going for the Dragon Blade here, but knocked away at the start. Dogman tries to give an account of himself, but is taken down. Erster, though, has done better. He's found 2 kills and make it 3. Taking down the enemy Genji. And the Atlanta Reign set that up. And I've got to say, off the back of Masa with the knock off the high ground, that's what really was the starter's pistol for the Reign.
And that's exactly the type of action they needed to get going, is when that competition set up, the Orisa's on the high ground. Your best case scenario, let's say you lose your Diva, whatnot, you get an elimination and then you push them down, right? Get them fighting on the point. That's where you can take advantage. They see Gushui switch to Winston. What do? They immediately respond with Erster on the Reaper again.
And they got Dogman on the Brigitte. Dogman on the Brigitte, let's go! Obviously, that's going to make it hard for Adori, even Godspeed to a degree to make an impact. Bebe's hacked there, but being pocketed by IDK, who had to pop Valkyrie, interestingly enough. That's the EMP. Rhea gets caught by that one, and so does IDK, but he's already in Valk right now, so he can still fly as usual. D-suit on Rhea now. Baby up on the point. Extra damage to get done here, and the Spark look like they're struggling. Yeah, Erster's hacked, but you see, he doesn't play any differently. He doesn't play like he's worried about this, because he's just holding down mouse. What? The Spark just get pushed off the point.
They are not able to get back on and get a touch as they use the Lucio Brig composition, the speed of the point, the Brig able to flail around. Put up a very good time here on Anubis. We saw the Spark 1 and 5. It does not look good for them. We'll see their offense right after this quick break.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
It's going to be okay.
Welcome back to this match between the Atlanta Reign and the Hangzhou Spark. Not going perhaps the way one might expect, but things are a little different now. The Atlanta Reign seem to take to this 2-2-2 setup pretty comfortably. The Spark looks a little less certain about how to navigate this. This map has historically not been great for it.
And I think it's very difficult to know, as you see, follow the Overwatch League on Twitch for mobile notifications. You never want to miss out.
That's right. So if you're watching this VOD on rewatch or watching the VOD, there's one of two things are true.
Because you
one,
missed it.
you're European, or two, you didn't turn your notifications on and didn't watch the stream and it was on.
Which if you just listened to us, you would have had the notifications on. Or like Hex, I think, has plugged the notifications numerous times. You would have known.
This coming from Hex, who forgets to turn off his stream when it's done.
Yeah,
Hex
it's also
really got
true.
that on lockdown.
Yeah. If you ever want to watch the Overwatch loading screen for 24 hours.
You were going to say something
look up
intelligent,
Hex's
I'm
stream.
sure.
I was. Now you completely sidetracked with the conversation. But usually, because he feeds and dies, I can go back to my conversation. As Atlanta, they seem to be playing just more of what we've seen a lot of teams playing. Like nobody's really committed to like the dive this long in terms of like what we've seen thus far. So the Spark coming out here and trying to make this work, it's very interesting. I think it'll be pretty telling for teams who want to try and run this, because the Spark are a very good team. Not being able to make this work. Look at how much CC is there. Like you're not going to be able to go in as Wrecking Ball and just kind of dive on in. The halts are going to come, the hook, then you have the Mei wall trying to get away. It's very difficult.
Yushui's hero pool has been drained to water the Ficuses. What's he going to play here?
It's also difficult to play this when you have the Mercy and the Zen in play, because they can't come into this close quarter range.
He can't get anything done. It's brutal. I mean, this guy wants to be in your face. You know, Winston, Wrecking Ball, heroes that just take the fight to the enemy team. And the Reign says, that's exactly what we want you to do. We will punish you, in fact, for doing so.
Yeah, it's last year is going to have the blizzard that comes in here from Ursters. That's going to be a really quick blizzard. I wonder if they know that Bebe is off to the side here. No, looks like they're going to back up. Maybe knows, but you build up this blade. Now they get Bebe. You build up the blade here for Adora. But what is your best case scenario? I mean, you go in with blade. They're going to Valk, you have the immortality field, and then you have to do a Baby Bay who's going to be playing at range, right? It just takes one good shot.
But how are you going to get in there when Baby Bay has infrasight? Like, he is going to see you coming.
Yeah, and I mean, you're going in there with a Winston now, which Winston, it may be even tougher than playing the Wrecking Ball. I mean, headshot right there, good trick. Headshot stun, he's dead. I mean, he doesn't live for longer than a second.
And this is really difficult now. And the Spark just seems to be the most comfortable trying to play this direct approach, this dive setup, but perhaps a chain of attack, man.
Sometimes it doesn't work.
Comp into this? Can you play Pharah, like Widow, or something like that?
You can play like double sniper. You can play, you probably have to play an Orisa setup. Maybe you would play like a Orisa with the D.Va in play.
What shield pressure do you have as Hangzhou?
I mean, you're trying to get around the shield. I mean, that's kind of the point of the comp, right? Is to work around the shield and try and play for like maybe a flank on the Widow on the high ground. And you're going to have a EMP here, so EMP plus Blade potentially. But all you have to do is have Masa hide, and you're going to get a Valkyrie off, and you should be good to weather that storm.
Here's the EMP up the backside, though. Godspeed was taken down by Baby Bay. Adora, he really needs to make ends meet with his Dragon Blade, but so far,
It's nothing.
not a darn thing.
I mean, they may get Urster off the back of this.
Darko to the rescue. Urster actually walled.
He walls himself up over the top.
Darko, though, gets thrown out here. Now he needs to keep himself alive. Okay, gets the D-Mech, be self-destructive for Rhea. Bebe Transcendency on his own, on the high ground, just to stay alive?
Yeah, it was a forced trance just to try and keep himself up.
Oh.
What is that? Okay. Baby Bay just grapples from the mid-bridge towards the Hangzhou spawn and just challenges Godspeed as he's coming out of the spawn door. Like, that positioning is kind of crazy.
Andre, you're on the wrong side of the map!
I feel like we've seen this before.
Okay, now this has now devolved into a Clown Fiesta, but
the first play was sweet. I mean, if you would have saw it from my POV, it was sweet. Like, he came flying over the gate, he got a headshot onto Godspeed, finished him off, turned it around. What you guys saw wasn't exactly that great. Now the Spark, they'll be able to take point A.
What's the voice line? You might not want to tell your friends about that one. Too bad! It's on the internet now, fam.
So they go with the Torbjorn May setup that we saw earlier in the day. This was a setup that we saw one of our previous matches with the Torb and the Mei combination. We'll see if they can make it work here.
Dora has the blade, but no nano. It's not going to be happening. Where does he start here? Again, okay, sees the Mercy tether. He's looking for Erster though. Getting rid of the main early would be great, but it's a Blizzard that Adora. Okay, I wonder what was going on there. He walked into it. He was actually knocked away. Darko saved Adora's life, but gets the decent on Rhea and makes sure there's no chance of repiloting the mech in this lifetime. And now that Mei really starts to have an impact, Erster can start freezing individuals on the point here. And Darko trying to catch IDK, who's one of the most slippery of Lucio players. This is done.
You do have to use some ultimates to get it done, though. If you're Atlanta, Dogman playing the Brig now, he'll have Rally. See what the Spark decides to do. Okay, so they bring out a Mei. So they'll run Mei Hangzhou, which is a good combination in terms of having the walls with the hooks and the halts. And they'll switch up their tank line as well. So a few changes here with the Spark. It's going to take a few fights for them to get some ultimates. This also turns Masa to bring out the Batiste.
I kind of like Hangzhou's comp now for attack, to be honest. I mean, that could have worked for them. Yeah. Well, Baby-based turret is removed. Overly noticeable, of course. Wall placed up by Adora so his team can get here into the backside of the point. This makes it a little bit harder just to dig out, but the freeze is there from Erster. Nice immortality build point up there, allowed the Rain to play a bit more aggressively, and now the rally from Dogman. Baby-Bay catches Bebe, really, with the Molten Core on the point. Ana not being very mobile. Once she was caught, there was no getting out.
And this is the combo we saw Boston run in their series against the Sharks, what we're seeing from the Atlanta Reigns.
Yeah.
So some changes now that'll come in though. Baby uses
Very
ultimate
defensive.
towards the end. So he'll go and switch over to Hangzhou, so you bring a Hangzhou of your own.
Why are you trying to play Hangzhou here over the top?
So you're trying to play the Hangzhou here for a little bit more shield break, because you don't want to allow Gouche to kind of set up these shields. The thing with Orisa is like both Orisas will set up a shield, right? The one that breaks first most likely has to back out or move around. So you're trying to gain that positioning where you can keep putting those shields forward, keep pushing the other team backwards.
Both teams have a main to prolong their Orisa's shield lives. Okay, Dragon Strike's going to split Dogman and Baby off to the side, but both are ranged heroes.
Yeah, it doesn't do much.
Yeah, it's an Ana and a Hangzhou, so they're not really bothered by that. Maybe their vision gets clouded somewhat by the big old pink dragon, but that's it.
I mean, they only have 10 seconds here to make anything happen. They have to touch the point. They get overtime. This will be the Amp Matrix here used, but it does not look likely. That is a wall that comes up
No time.
Urser as Atlanta Reign take map number 2.
Yeah, confidence there from the Atlanta Reign. Their attack was blistering. Their defense was, well, it was glacial. Nice and slow. They hold the Spark at bay and a 2-0 lead heading into halftime.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
coming off of a perfect 2-0 homestand. The Reign are looking to keep their hot streak going here in Stage 4, and so far, so good. It's Atlanta up 2-0 over Hangzhou at the half. What's up, everybody? Another halftime here. Atlanta, Hangzhou, doing the thing. I gotta say, Sideshow, your head is growing. What's going on there?
It's inflating.
You're not going to be able to leave.
Is
My
your brain
brain is
getting
so
bigger?
big. Yeah, it might be my ego. I don't know. I think Atlanta are a really good team. You know, they got out of the doldrums of playing triple tank triple support that didn't really suit them, and now Erster, their DPS players, they can start pounding.
At home, isn't he?
Yeah, he's playing
really,
incredibly well.
performing well. I mean, credit to Zoe. She said it on the pre-show as well. Like, she bigged the guy up. He came in, and now he's performing really well.
And Spark a little bit lost.
They do. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Ilios highlights, because at the top of the match, the Spark were looking somewhat strong. But then as time, passed and things played out, it was all Atlanta.
I got a bone to pick with Hangzhou, because I think there's a clear disconnect in their understanding of the meta as we currently see it. We've seen like a bit of an evolution of sorts. May Reaper seems to be the go-to when you're running against Sombra compositions. And Hangzhou Spark continued to run the Wrecking Ball, as you can see here, gets frozen up, slowed down, destroyed. This was repeated for Gushue. And yes, IDK had a few clever moments on Ilios as well. Sure, he gets the boop off. But overall, they got absolutely demolished by Atlanta Reign's composition here, because they just have a better grasp on how to play right now, the game and the tempo is played at, and also the heroes they need to play.
Right.
I don't know whether anyone else called that, but dismolished is my new favorite.
Demolished? Is that what I said? All right.
Dismantle?
It's really weird, actually, seeing Gushue on the Winston not be able to have an impact. This might be a bit of a bold.
No, I don't know.
This early into
Say it,
but
say it.
Go ahead.
I think that Winston might be the worst main tank at the moment, apart from Reinhardt. Is that even fair to say when there's only really 4 main tanks? Whatever. My point is, there are very few instances where you'd want to run the Winston instead of the Wrecking Ball.
Right.
And that really hurts Gushue, a guy that's really incredibly good at Winston, and then has ground out Reinhardt to the point where he can play that at an elite level.
Right.
Now he has to start playing a bunch of Wrecking Ball and Orisa. And I'm not saying it was his fault that they're losing these matches, but it's taken one of your star players, maybe even a superstar player, and just lowered him to the level of all the other tanks.
Put a bit of a handicap on him for sure. All right, well, you talked a little bit about the May play there, Brent, and I believe we have some more emphasis on some good May play that happened in that first half from you, Sideshow.
Absolutely, yeah. So we've been seeing a lot of May being run in a bunch of different compositions, and we've kind of talked a bit about the walls and how they can block hook combos and stuff like that. But I've got an Insights powered by Intel where I want to run you through how the Atlanta Reign won this really crucial team fight when it came into overtime on the first round. So here it is, 99 to 99%, and the setup here is all around isolating Pokpo. IDK is gonna loop around and he's gonna boop Pokpo. That's hard to say. And they're gonna try and find this kill on him, and they actually do. They managed to get that first pick, and at that point, statistically, there's like an 80% chance that they convert this. With only 5 players up from the Atlanta Reign, the focus is now on Enleia to make huge plays. Enleia and Erster to sync up their ults and be able to get max value. But they're not really playing against targets they can isolate so well. So in comes Enleia with the Blizzard, and he tries to throw it down. He originally had about 3 targets in the Blizzard, but all 3 of these targets have huge mobility, and they just scoot out of there immediately. But he doesn't let that stop him. Wall goes up, gets the freeze on Rhea, hits this nasty shot on the Tracer. Godspeed dies instantly.
Like the children.
Yeah, with Godspeed down, Rhea frozen, stunned, he goes down, and then he sets up as well. See this wall cooldown? As soon as this wall cooldown comes off, he uses it again to great effect. So now it's off, he's got it back available, and he sees Gushue in his sights. This is where he starts to slow down the Wrecking Ball and isolate his only exit. This is the way that he knows Gushue is going to try and get out, get some health, come back in. Wall goes up, he's isolated and killed. I want to show you again this shot onto Godspeed, because one of the big reasons that May is being used is because it has no damage fall off on the Icicle. So that's 150 damage from any range onto kind of Sombra Tracer compositions. So even though it's not the same kind of setup where you're running against Orisa and Roadhog, you can still get mad value out of that May.
Yeah, you're right about that. That was nasty. Why didn't you say anything about the Death Blossom? Erster, man.
You know, what did he do? He walked towards him and pressed Q. Come on, it's Reaper.
Show some
a lot of skill in that.
Show some love.
A lot of skill.
I'm just messing. All right, well, let's go ahead and talk about Anubis, because Baby Bay was subbed in for that map. He came in for, I believe, Erster, or no, Inlayer. And we got to see some Torbjorn, we got to see some Widowmaker. He was all over the place. This is what Baby Bay is known to do. He's known to be good on multiple heroes, your damage heroes, that is.
Yeah, and I mean, Baby Bay was really just supplementing Erster at the end of the day as well. This guy, we've been waiting for him to really be popping off in this meta of his own. But Baby Bay was just there to apply, again, the Sombra, I guess, to a lot of the strategies they wanted to run onto this. The Widowmaker as well, very proficient on this first point, as you can see. But this was very... even though it didn't seem it at times, it was a very one-sided game. Atlanta Reign had full control. Hangzhou Spark, again, failing to recognize what compositions to really run at the same time. To open this up, they tried to crack open the attacking side as well. They were trying to run Sombra Genji. Yeah. Doesn't work effectively as well. I mean, normally you need an Ana as well to supplement that with a Nano Boost to really try and crack open that first attack. And it was just multiple failures like that where they're failing to recognize what to adapt to is the biggest issue to Hangzhou Spark.
I would also say, though, that Atlanta are probably playing two of their best maps for running 2-2-2 in this. To go from Ilios onto Anubis, two maps that they used to run 2-2-2 comps on this entire season anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the perfect map pool for Atlanta to be playing against Spark. So it's all about the second half for Hangzhou to get back into it.
Indeed. And, you know, it's also all about the second half for the Atlanta Reign because they need every map they can in order to make it into the playoffs. And with that, let's take a look at the standings. Right now, they are right on the cusp. They're sitting at number 13. This win will do a lot for them getting into that top 12 to make it into our play-in.
Yeah, and it almost seems unlikely, given Atlanta Reign's schedule, that they wouldn't make that top 12.
Right.
So it's about also being able to be in a position once you get into that play-in tournament to peak at the right time.
I will also say, good news if you're a Spark fan as well, because they've secured so many early wins now with 14. The worst they can do is now currently, I believe, 14-14. So it's at this point, you are, I don't want to say it's guaranteed that you're going to be in the top 12 because they're not yet, you can see. They
just win a couple games.
Next to it. But if they get 1 win, 2 wins, they are going to be in that top 12 position. Yeah. Gives them a lot more time to figure out, again, the meta, what they want to run. So if you are a Spark fan, don't fret yet. There is still time for them.
Indeed. All right, guys, map 3, Kings Row. Who is this favoring? Is this the map for the Hangzhou Spark to potentially make a comeback on?
I mean, the possibility's there. I mean, you're saying.
Baby Bay is dabbing on stage right now.
The dab's dead, Baby Bay. Andre, the dab is dead.
Stop it! Stop it!
It's dead.
Stop it, Baby Bay.
You want to try 1v1 me again, bro? Listen, I'll step up to my.
Oh, he ruined you last time. He ruined you last time, Brent. I'm going to hold it back.
Okay, listen, hold it back, hold it
back. That can't be allowed to happen.
All right, back to my question. Who is this favoring?
There's a possibility for them, but now I want to say no. I want to say that. Hangzhou Spark going to be reverse sweeping them. But no, they look like the stronger team. They've got a much better understanding of the meta.
Yeah.
I think Erster, if they run End Layer as well, I think May's going to be super potent on this map as well. I like the theme music as well. I got that.
I got that unlocked. I think Atlanta Reign have got it unlocked as well.
All right, all right. Well, you heard the guys. And Atlanta Reign, they're just 1 map away from securing their 3rd win in a row, the first of stage 4. We're going to see if they can do that in just a bit, so stay tuned.
They don't just play for a team. They play for every fan, every rival, every moment, every match. And when everyone watching expects the best, they perform with the best. Let them up.
You can see a Baby Bay over halftime, letting out some of that rifle energy. He's feeling a bit feisty, and so are the rest of the rain here. And with good reason, being up 2-0 here, a team who was already, 500 in map differential now. And Sideshow pointed out at halftime, they're with a good shot to make it into the top 12 with their schedule.
If they get a win here today, that's huge, because this is a team that you probably, like, looking at Atlanta's schedule, wouldn't have marked down like a certified win for. So you win games like this, right? And then you go up against some of the other teams. Right? I think there are going to be some teams in the league that really struggle to grasp, this roll meta. And I think Atlanta can make a real strong run, like up towards the higher echelons of the 6 to 12 range.
Sure, and barring a potential calamity, the Hangzhou Spark also should be in the top 12, but they're not clinched. They have not mathematically secured that position, so it's not guaranteed. Anyway, let's have a look at some subs, and FRD back in the roster here for Darko. Now, when we see the map, we'll maybe discuss a little bit why we maybe see this particular substitution, but a little bit of a mix-up here on the side of the rain. Good to see that this 2-2-2 meta is not stifling their creativity in terms of rotating players in and out. It's early days. And Bezzy comes in here for Godspeed.
Yeah, so you think he comes in to potentially play the Widowmaker, a very strong Widowmaker player. So he comes into the damage role.
Assassin also.
Assassin comes in the tank role for Rhea. So some changes for both teams in terms of your off-tank. Here as we go into King's Row.
Makes you wonder if he's wanting to play the Roadhog here. Maybe that's why we see Sassin. I always thought Rhea was serviceable in that role.
Yeah, so we did see some good stuff from Rhea and Darko in the first half. We have seen like a lot of Zarya played in the past here, but that's really with the Reinhardt. So
I've seen enough Zarya.
Defense double sniper.
This map pool is atrocious for Hangzhou. This is a 0-4 map for the Spark.
So interesting. So Hangzhou, on offense, they'll now run the Orisa here. So you have Orisa D.Va in terms of tank combos from both teams. A little bit more shield pressure here as Bebe is going to be playing the Zen.
Adora on the Hanzo is actually, okay, busy now, the Widowmaker. Came out of the gates with the Sombra, but maybe not fancying his chances here against the
Probably just a scout.
Yep. Widow Genji, the dream.
It's going to be very difficult to get some of these shots, though. Baby Bay is going to play right behind this Orisa shield. Theodora just goes right in with a reflect, trying to send some damage back. Potentially right into Pokepo's face, just trying to push him back a little bit.
Double sniper for the Atlanta Reign. Every team, I predict that every team's going to have a pretty strong, serviceable double sniper composition going forward. I think Space mentioned that the Valiant is still working on that right now, so I feel like they'll want to get there. Almost one tick. Betsy takes down Baby Bay as he tries to peek his head around the corner. What a great way to start the fight, and he announces his presence as a substitution. He and Adora combined for, well, 4 kills in that fight. DPS living strong out here.
I mean, there's a reason why they bring him up from a two-way player back to being on the active roster. It's because of his Widowmaker play.
I mean, we were seeing him tons at the start of the season. It was just when the 3-3, play started to set in that they realized that there wasn't really a spot for him.
So they win that first fight pretty clean after the Dragon played. So Bazil switch over towards Hanzo now. So both support ults here coming in the next fight for both teams. As Baby switches off of Widowmaker, he'll go over to Mei. So Mei could be really strong here on the streets phase of the map, as these chokes are very small, get a lot of value out of the walls.
For now, again, just a lucky headshot would be huge for Baby here. Take someone down very low. Sassin just ruined there by FRD, and that's the Roadhog play that I kind of speculated about when we saw him subbed in. Another hold, that ability hold, looking so powerful right now. So much displacement with these compositions to set up early and easier picks.
Now, you've seen so much Orisa played throughout this stage thus far, and I think you're still going to see Orisa to continue to be the go-to main tank. Like, for this meta, her kit is perfect. I mean, great shield up time, right? The shield is almost always up, stays alive for a very long time. Great self-sustain, right, with Fortify, able to block, take a 50% damage reduction.
Able to shrug off burst damage.
The halt here to be able to try and farm easy pick-off.
Rude!
A Maywall there from Baby Babe blocks that self-destruct from coming through.
Yeah, that's... Sassin, gotta be salty about that one. Big ult.
Supercharger as well. Such a big game-changing ult.
The Atlanta Rain now getting ready to fight. Gushue Supercharger's taken down, and Baby Bay gets busy. That's what's going to happen with a Supercharger and a mate right click. It's going to get you instant kills. IDK's Immortality Field is taken down, and the rest of the Spark get put on ice in both terms for the Frakes.
Use a quick use of the ice block there. Just throw off Baby as Adora now will play May.
Oh. Bro, May right click and Supercharger is nasty.
Like 2 weeks ago, and you saw the roll lock come through, and it was going to be 2-2-2. You'd have looked at me crazy. I mean, we were talking about this with me, Josh, and Brent downstairs. Like, you'd have thought I was crazy telling you May was going to be like a must-pick, a must-need hero.
Well, the recent change to make her icicles only use 20 ammo instead of, what was it, 40, I think, at the time? You only used to get like 5 shots. Now you obviously get 10 without reloading. Nice, there's quality of life change that really ups your damage output as well.
Yeah, and it wasn't necessarily like May was in a bad spot. It's just she became a little bit more viable. Yeah, and now she becomes extremely valuable. You know, the ability to split players off. It'll be the Immortality Field here, keeping the Spark alive through some of this damage.
Ampfield won't boost the Dragon damage, but the rest of the damage from the Spark hits home. Dogman taken down by Sonic Arrow, and the Spark finally come up with an answer here. Still a bit of work to be done on the Streets phase. 2 minutes in the clock.
Can you get back here and challenge if you are the Atlanta Rain?
Not without a loose.
I think you're going to get close. I think you'll get close. Potentially you have a Blizzard here, so getting close using the Blizzard, maybe you'd see Baby be able to farm up a Transcendence before then, but it's just a matter of if they're going to try.
I'm not sure.
They're going to use the May wall to push up here.
Blizzard straight away.
Behind it.
Baby Bay goes out for the wall. The placement was actually really good. Now, the Spark threw up a wall and forced the Rain to filter through here, but that Immortality Field was big because they took a lot of poke damage on the advance, and now it has to be a Transcendence. Baby Bay still inside that Immortality Field. That stayed up for its full duration. The Spark weren't able to remove it. Baby Bay gets taken down, and that was the tick on the checkpoint there.
Yeah, Sassen using the whole hog was able to knock some players back, prevent them from getting to the point to be able to touch. That's why when we were on with Baby Bay, you saw him like trying to move forward real quick. He was potentially Baby Bay trying to get like a good opportunity to jump and then block and potentially get the block onto the point, but was not able to do so as the Spark continued to keep it rolling.
Pushing, I guess, forward now with Gushue. He'll know he'll have another shield cooldown up by the time the fight actually comes to him. That's the pick though. Ersten down to Bezzy. In a great spot now just to rain damage down, and no enemy snipers to contest him. It was just Massa and Baby Bay that could really interact with him at this point, and he almost has to get another Dragon Strike. Here's one from Spawn though for the Rain. IDK's Immortality Field is taken down, and so that Dragon becomes much deadlier, forcing the Hangzhou Spark back, and that wall will continue to slow them up. Dragon Strike away from the Spark, but not much of a setup there for Bezzy. Not really sure what the plan was.
Yeah, and Massa ends up using an Ant Matrix here, so you were not able to really pump out a ton of damage with it or heal. Now the Ant Matrix is going to come out from IDK. You have a good use of it here.
Yeah, Massa's Immortality Field got taken down really early too. Still FRD's able to weather the storm for now. Yeah, he didn't have to take a breather off cooldown anyway, so it would have been a struggle for him to stay alive. Someone's gone to the back lines. Adora now just freezing Massa. All the healing taken away, and eventually the Spark were able to sneak their way through. Yeah, it was a little bit slow up until the last phase, but they pushed through pretty efficiently, and they'll be happy enough at least to go into extra innings if required. With 1 minute and 27 seconds left in their time bank, they need to start recovering in the series now, or it'll be never. We'll be back with the next half of this map.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Team up for special attack. 冻住，不许走。I'm on fire. Well,
A minute 27 in the bank for the Spark. Trying a couple different looks on the attacking side of King's Row, Matt. It looks like the Hangzhou started to stick. You know, they got the Mei in there in the end, but definitely a couple of permutations of attacking rosters. We'll be back, by the way, tomorrow morning. Well, not morning, afternoon, 12 p.m. PT for the match of the week. Dragons versus Dynasty. You can check that out on Twitch, ESPN app, Disney XD. Me and Matt will be there on the call.
Yeah, should be a good one. It seems like the Spark at halftime, they have recognized that Orisa and Roadhog is a decent combination of heroes. So you throw a Mei, a Widowmaker in the mix, and you're back in the series. So they'll play the Widow Hanzo on defense. It'll be the Widow Hanzo for the Atlanta Reign. So the damage dealer here.
What do you think about Sasin on D.Va instead of the Hulk here?
I know you play the D.Va and certain, like you can play the D.Va here on defense, like eat the halts, like if they were running. The Roadhog in flank, also pretty good to track down some of the snipers. So where no, Roadhog is a little bit of a battery at times for like a Dragon Strike or an Infracycle. Nice shot there from Adora.
Baby Bay, quick reaction there. It's buzzed. There's a flick over at Adora. Snipers back and forth. I see Baby Bay getting rest, so a player advantage now to the Reign. 90k. Okay, that's a lot of Widowmaker in a kill feed right now. It's a 6v6 as it stands, though. That's all you need to know. Benji down again. The sniper's really starting to dominate here, and it's fun. Double sniper is fun. It's just a little eclectic at times.
And I think comparing last year to this year, like the sniper play has gotten so good. Like it was very good last year, but I feel like we have so many in the league. That'll be an Ant Matrix here from Baby. So you'll have to back up. This will allow them some time to regroup here for the Spark.
Valkyrie definitely a must-have there for Master to keep his team alive with the amplified damage. Hurtling towards the Reign. And a 3-player Bionic Grenade is a great opener for Dogman. Nano boost to FRD. Unsure what he was planning to do with that one, but he is close to a bomb. Sarsin desuited, no chance to go for a self-destruct to renew the mech. He's on foot for the time being. And Grishway's got hit with a Bionic Grenade. He's forced to step forward with his shield. I mean, damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. Step forward and get killed by the Reign, step back and die to the bomb. Put in a lose-lose situation. The Atlanta Reign now step forward and start to clean this up.
These are just cleanup kills here for Atlanta as this fight is pretty much done. But I tell you what, the one who makes a difference here in this fight is Dogman. So what they do here is the Atlanta Reign, they force action on the point, which forces the Spark into that back corner by the outside of the hotel. And Dogman actually wraps into the hotel. First, he hits a big Biotic Grenade, connects with 3 players. Then the second time he wraps in, he connects a Sleep Dart on a Bebe, who is playing the Batiste at that time. So you deny a lot of the healing. He wraps back around the other side, provides his team with some extra heals. They're able to take it. A switch comes in here for the Spark. So now you have IDK playing the Batiste, and then you have Bebe picking up the Zenyatta.
Can you believe Dogman at one point was considering giving up on the pro grind and becoming a caster? He was trying to become a caster. I'm like, what are you doing? Stay in the game, dude. You got with that fire. Here's a self-destruct over there. Oh, the hold could have done it, but he wants how he feels pretty darn good. The Reign, that would have been devastating if not for that. Great placement by Massa. He's able to play a little bit more than just the Lucio currently. I'm sure he's pleased. Another barrier, and you can see that Orisa shield uptime is actually ridiculous. Amplification Matrix, that wall won't last long. Poke, oh, he wanted to sit and just rain damage down. He'll still be able to hear. IDK and Vezi are both down, and Hangzhou Spark pretty much have to back out completely. If they get staggered here, they won't be able to defend again.
And they end up using a Supercharger Atlanta, which forces the Spark to back up. And then once the Spark want to go back and re-engage after the Supercharger's done, they use an Ant Matrix, which you want to back away from as well. So you're able to get an elimination or 2 off the back of those ultimates, and then also create the space necessary to take the second point.
Here's a question for you, Matt. Do flex supports exist anymore?
You know, it's very interesting. Before the Valiant match, I was chatting with Cussa, and he was like, I've been playing more supports than I feel like I ever have. I think for some teams it will. Like where you see Bebe and IDK, like IDK did, like Bebe was playing the Batiste. You didn't see him pick up the Zen, right? They have to switch. But I think for some teams, like the LA Valiant, like Custa used to play some Zen in the past, or I think, you know, maybe they run some different things, or they're able to do some things other teams cannot.
The Spark have given so much ground here to Rain as we discussed this. Dragon Strike. Oh, hold, great combo. Yep, that's going to hurt. Dogman won't get away with that one, but Budgie goes down actually. Even with the Transcendence in play, and Baby Bay is not able to skip away. I get the placement there of the Immortality field, but Massa placing it far forward enough that when Baby Bay was close to escaping, he actually was out of range of the Immortality. So this could be an elongated stagger here for the Rain, which is absolutely not what they want. Assassin mows Pokemon down again. You don't get knocked back when you're in Fortify, so you just cop a face full of damage from Whole Hog.
And I think the jump off the backup, we were talking a little bit earlier, so that's a pretty clean win for the Spark. Is that I think you need like your supports and your tanks to be more flexible than ever because it's extremely readable if you have to make subs at certain heroes into the game. Yeah. So just a quick 3K there with the Whole Hog. No fights kicked off just yet, but
well, especially as players that were like main supports, so Lucio and maybe Mercy players, you know,
you have to play some Batiste now.
Zen, even in some cases, Brigitte has seen it.
And then what good is it? I mean, you can play the Batiste, but what good is it if you can't take advantage of his offensive capabilities, right? So, I think
what an
it's
interesting point. Yeah, someone like Violet, of course, is able to, or Rascal, should I say, is able to really do that, right?
Yes. Or now you're going to have, you know,
Rascal can't play it anymore.
Right. Well, I mean, he could. I mean, they could play him as an actual support, but I mean, but then what do you do? Like, right, Rascal's not going to come out and play Zen. So, like, 2 quick fight wins here for the Spark. So, kind of talking about how players need to be even more versatile than ever with you know, the roll walk into play. So, both teams have built up a lot of ultimates on either side. There'll be a Ant Matrix here. This is not a great one here. Maybe you just have it for a door to shoot through on the side, but now, I mean, it buys you some space around the corner, I guess.
Yeah, look, if the Spark had tried to take advantage of that during the wall, it would have made it very easy to pick off.
Yeah.
They didn't do that, though. Now they back away. Again, it's about breaking line of sight as much as possible immediately. Okay, they tried to take the initiative, the Rain, and tried to catch the Spark by surprise. Double Dragon. Yeah, we got that too. Double Blizzard. Yeah, well, throw that one in the basket. We got it all, really. Quite double Transcendence. There's no Zen on the side of the Atlanta Rain. A lot of pets getting taken down there, but Popo is the first player to fall. Spark now are starting to really solidify this. Matt potentially getting their first win on King's Row. What, this entire season?
Yeah, potentially. This has been a very good hold from the Spark. As some of these adjustments they've made at halftime have really paid off as you bring in Assassin here to play Roadhog. Fazzy's come in and played a very strong Widowmaker, and now May. We've seen Adora come to life. So Baby Bay will switch and play McCree here. So this is the buffed McCree that is on live, like the faster shooting. It just feels extremely strong.
It feels more busy as well, especially if you're trying to transfer between targets. You're clicking a lot.
If it makes any sense to explain it, you feel way more active. Assassin picks off 1 here, so you may not even be able to make anything happen out of it as FRD goes down. So we talk about how important these first picks are in a lot of these fights. Spark are putting together here, you know, on their point C defense. First pick off almost every time a fight starts.
Time running out here for the Rain. Adora has the Dragon Strike. This will not necessarily wipe the Atlanta Rain as they step up, but it'll put him in a weird position because he's going to try and split them in half, or at least split off some of the more vulnerable characters. Baby Bay, that's a tough fight to take against the Hanzo with longer range. Winnable, but still risky. Adora's got all the info it needs here, but it's the Dragon Strike going there. How do the Rain respond? They split the 2 takes on the front side here. Implication, Matrix is thrown down, but with Erster missing now, a big source of the damage and a big individual to capitalize on that. Ant Matrix is now off the table. No mercy, of course, for the Atlanta Rain. No resurrect possible. Adora, oh, he's waiting for that one. Baby Bay left him open. And Adora is going to punish him there for the high ground on the Hanzo. And the Atlanta Rain seem to be getting drawn to a halt now. It's FRD going for the whole hog, but not much of it. Not enough to feed a family even. And that'll be timing out. The Hangzhou Spark stay alive in this series. Look very good with Pezzy and Assassin rotating in. The King's Row is the first one they've won all season.
And they looked very strong with bringing in a new off-tank and another damage dealer. We'll see if they can send us to a Game 5, if they can take the next map after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.
We've seen some amazing skill this season, but in the end, there can only be one pro that takes home the Overwatch League MVP award, sponsored by the good folks at T-Mobile.
New players have risen through the ranks to become stars, while League veterans fight to remain on top. Now, the time has come to immortalize another player in the halls of esports legends and crown the 2019 Overwatch League MVP, presented by T-Mobile. Here are your MVP finalists.
Sinatra has been playing like a man possessed.
Sinatra.
Janu is certainly up there, best diva in the league.
Janu. Super.
Twilight gets in there, so Twilight can handle himself.
Twilight.
Is Plan outrageous? I've never seen a player who's more mechanically skilled, I think.
Gushui. The winner will be determined by you, the fans, as well as Overwatch League casters and analysts. Cast your vote on Twitter using #OwlMVP and the player's battle tag, or during any remaining regular season broadcast on Twitch. Voting ends on August 25th, so let your voice be heard. It's your league, your decision. Who will you choose as this season's T-Mobile Overwatch League MVP?
You heard our budget voiceover announcer. It's your league, and it's time to cast your vote for the T-Mobile Overwatch League MVP. Vote for your favorite finalists on the Twitch overlay or on Twitter using #OWLMVP and the player's battle tag. Get your vote in today so you can have your voice heard.
I enjoyed Sideshow's voiceover.
It was great, Matt.
I did.
Yeah, it was great. Some of these are great. Cool bug facts. I wish I could read that. Camera's gone too fast. What can I do? So the Hangzhou Spark looking improved here in map number 3. Kings Row favoring them a little bit more, or at least the substitutions that they made looking pretty good for them.
Yeah, we'll see if they can keep it together going into a map 4, potentially try and get this one to go to a map 5. We've seen the Spark in a lot of map 5s throughout the season thus far, so it'd be pretty fitting. Same with the Atlanta Rain, right?
Also true.
Like
they lost a bunch of map 5s initially.
So we do have some subs coming into the next game. We'll just have to wait a little bit. So I believe they're getting set up on stage, but
a lot of subs today, man.
Yeah, so I think teams though just trying to figure out what to run, who to run. You don't have a ton of practice time. So we'll start with the Atlanta Rain. They have Endlayer who will come back in for Baby Bay in the damage roll.
Now he is basically inhaling those heat pads because it's nice and cool in here as it is very warm outside. Godsby comes back in here for Bessie.
I believe you have some other changes.
Yeah, so this is obviously No Smite actually comes back in here. So we talked about these players being called up from being two-way players. Obviously No Smite now back into the roster. And Revenge, who for the first time since stage 1, I think, comes in for Bebe, who was a teammate of Bezzy and Adora's on a team called 7. So he was definitely played a bunch with those guys here.
And it's just weird to see a team that has had success with a set roster change this much towards the end, but as I was
the end of a series?
I think, well, just at the end of a season series, I think right now you really want to start building towards that end of season playoff. And I think right now, if you're the Spark, you know you have some games to work with, right? And I think you maybe decide, like, okay, let's try some of these players. Bring out Bazzi again. Bring back Smite.
Do you think 1 week was enough for them to really distill the essence of what... Surely not, right? Like, there are teams that have to experiment now. And
no, there's teams that have to do it live. I mean, it's probably difficult to really figure it out, like, when you're scrimming and whatnot, because there's a lot of stuff that's happening, right? And then, you know, it's just who do you run? I mean, you try and do.
We haven't seen a change as big as this in competitive Overwatch since 1 hero limit.
Yeah, no, I think you can make an argument this is even bigger change than that. So I think this is going to be an experimental process for a lot of teams. I think that's what you see from the Spark today.
Spark are obviously looking to have to push towards a map 5 if they want to have any chance of taking this series out. The Atlanta Reign don't feel too bad here. Like, the map differential is pretty much neutral at this stage, despite where they sat on the ladder. A couple wins would be good, but because of all those map 5 losses, that's why they aren't, like, you know, 14, 20 maps in the hole.
This series is way more important for the Atlanta Reign. I mean, the Atlanta Reign are trying to get in, keep the top 12 spot. Like, the Spark are pretty far up there. You know, they have a good map differential.
Almost guaranteed top 12, but not mathematically.
No, where I think, obviously, it's ideal. They want to keep that top 6. They just need to kind of keep track of the standings, keep pace to keep that top 6. I believe Seoul Dynasty sitting in 7th right now on the outside looking in. So we take a look at the map set here. Route 66 will be the next one up. Where if you're the Spark, you know, yeah, you have some house money to play with. You have a few games to play with here. Figure it out. Decide what you want to do.
I mean, that's where you want to be. You want to actually have a buffer to be experimental. Unlike the Reign, who have to start their run for playoffs right now. In fact, they had to start their run for playoffs yesterday.
You don't know. I mean, Assassin is on the bench for a while. He's not a two-way player. He's been here through the whole season. You don't know in the background if he's been playing a lot of scrims with Smite in that tank role. And it's like, hey, maybe they have a little bit of more chemistry with the Orisa and the Hog combos.
It is not uncommon to see main tank and flex tank pairings. Players sort of brought together in that kind of package.
What's weird is they don't run it last map.
No, that's
the only
right.
part that you would make the argument for.
And Gushue, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, why? We're trying to figure out teams that are just purely experimenting to find the right result, presumably so.
And
Layer go too far down the hole.
And Layer comes in here as well to play the Widowmaker. So Baby Bay comes in to play Widow on a few maps, then he goes out probably for a little bit of a different hero pool towards the later stages of this.
You're adjusting to a new map pool as well, so it's likely you actually split map duties between some players to try and give them the best chance of getting used to them.
Like for, if you're the Hangzhou Spark, then maybe you want to Bazzi in on some of the best Widowmaker maps, right? Like you want to bring him in on King's Row. Maybe he plays like Ilios because of Ruins, let's say, in the future. Did not go the Spark's way earlier in the series. Right now, Spark on offense, trying to make some progress around the corner.
Yeah, FRD was just denying the resurrect there. Adora got picked off by Erster, and he moved up to make sure that IDK would not be able to work his magic. No follow-up there, though. Hope they're just trying to keep the Spark honest for the time being. And there it is, Adora goes down again. That's 2 unsuccessful forays for the Sparks. Genji and IDK did not want to be there. He was trying to follow up Sar. Simba got stopped in his tracks, and the Biotic Grenade rendered IDK useless.
Yeah, and the Biotic Grenade hits Assassin as well, so Dogman connects with another big Biotic Grenade. They end up picking up 2 kills off the back of it. Now you bring in Mei here, so they get Assassin on the Roadhog, you get Godspeed on the Hanzo, Adora on Mei, and then IDK on the Batiste. So a lot of changes here for the Spark as they feel it's necessary to get the payload moving.
I want to see how they're playing around No Smite here. The Orisa is the fulcrum of this team composition. And he's been sent skyward. Still, at least while in midair, the damage mitigation from Fortify is active, but Erster is just dominating, man. 4 final blows already, 44% of his team's damage early on. This guy will not be stopped, and we're all picking him up. It's nothing new. We've seen some of his prowess already so far, but now with a 2 DPS meta, those individuals come to the fore so much more.
Yeah, I mean, you can really see the individual skill of these damage players come out in a meta like this. The Hangzhou Spark looking a little bit like the stage 1 Hangzhou Spark, right? They were kind of throwing players all over the place around in the lineup.
Yeah.
So
we spent so much time talking about them settling on a perfect formula, and they kind of did, and made a couple playoffs with it even.
Yeah. They were on a crazy winning streak with it in the regular season and whatnot. So a lot of ultimates here for the Reign on defense. We'll see if they can hold on to any of them. go into the next fight with some extra ultimates as the Spark, because their changes still trying to work up to them.
There it is, FRD, the nano boost, extra damage, micro rockets combining.
They get Poco and Masa.
It's not ideal. Dogman's standing alive, but he won't be able to heal up until he hits a health pack or has his own body grenade cooldown. Atlanta Reign have to back up here pretty intensely. However, they have a lot of ultimates, so it's reasonable to expect Master to pop Valkyrie, get there quicker. Dogman needs to be not noticed here. He needs to try and stay out of view. No Spike get hits with a biotic grenade there, and now with that immortality fuel taken down, he's endangered species! FRD drops in the self-destruct and Erster from behind. I mean, there's really no choice but Hangzhou Spark now that, again, they're put in a situation where going either forwards or back will result in their demise. Godspeed takes the challenge, though. 2 kills in the fight for him, but FRD is dealing with no smite. Carved off and left behind by the rest of his teammates, and, well, the last-minute defense works out, Matt. The Reign have to use, though, a lot of ultimates to get it done.
Yeah, and Atlanta just trying to use this infra site here to prevent the Spark from coming around the corner. The Spark are going to have to go here. And No Smite may not even be back in the action at that time.
And Lek can see them too. He knows where they're going to come from. He has information. He knows there's been no hero swaps in the last few moments because of Infrasight. And there it is! Erster takes the head off Adora. And no mercy now for the Spark, so no resurrect possible. They needed the May. They needed the Blizzard so badly. But sometimes the best laid plans go to waste. And the Hangzhou Spark now have nothing to stand on. Except raw grit, and they might be lacking in that as well. Godspeed's going to try and wrap around, but he's taken out. FRD just goes ham on him. 4 kills for him, and the Spark fizzle out here on Route 66.
So, you know, we saw in the T-Mobile MVP piece, Gushui, right? Mm-hmm. There's a reason he's up there. As no smite in the first half, they bring him in here for the map 4. 1 a limb, 2 deaths, but it took him almost 3 minutes to get the supercharger, where Pogpo about 1 minute and 35, and we know how important that ultimate is. They took a look here at the end. The nano boost here goes on to FRD. They've used it a few times on the Diva, put down some extra damage.
It's definitely where you want it to be in this composition. Iris is okay, yeah, I saw that. Look, he's been inside the mech for so long, he got cramps. He had to stretch it out. It's completely to code.
He's got 12 final blows at the half. 18 to limbs, 0 deaths. He can do what he wants out there.
Normally not something we expect to see from this Rawhide, by the way. You know, usually he's out there just mitigating damage and trying to shepherd in a Winston. But now that you don't have to worry too much about protecting a backline because the enemy team aren't playing dive DPS, but also you don't have to protect the diving in Winston, you can start to function as a pseudo damage dealer and try and get kills yourself with the micro rockets.
The biggest difference in this game so far in the first half is the Orisa play, though. Like I was mentioning, the hero damage, Popo almost 3,000 to No Smite's 1,200. And that's a huge difference in terms of just damage output, and then damage amplified with the supercharger. It's like 900 to 450. I mean, that is such a big advantage in the main tank battle here for the Atlanta Reign.
So Atlanta have to feel good about this. Not even 1 checkpoint for the Hangzhou Spark, but I have seen teams fall over here. I recall Shanghai Dragons versus Florida Mayhem Season 1. We had the very similar situation here where the Dragons...
The El Clasico.
Yeah, the El Clasico. And they had to push just around the bend and couldn't quite get there. Mercy going a long way for Atlanta Reign here early. It's going to be able to fix up that pick-off, and Erster is just ruining people on this Hanzo. IDK down, by the way. The Hangzhou Spark, they have to think twice about hanging around. They only have Batiste healing right now. And eventually that's going to get overcome by Hanzo.
They have to take this close fight, though. I mean, they start backing around the corner, they lose that fight, the game is over.
IDK is so far away. Who's he got a Guardian Angel to try and speed this up? No one's going to go back for him. Okay, Godspeed might.
You may have Godspeed, get him on top of Big Earl so you can fly to him, but you may lose everybody else before that happens. So.
Honestly, Hangzhou are staving off this damage pretty well. For 1 healer, by the way, that's been impressive. Now, the car will block line of sight here, and FRD ate up most of that Evermind damage. Not going to go in! Another kill for FRD. Erster knows the Spark are going to be congregating behind the amplification matrix, so he throws the Dragon Strike right there, and his guess was correct.
So you're going to have Sassen get debacked here as the payload moves around the corner for the Atlanta Reign.
This is it. The last chance for the Spark to stay in the series.
You're going to have 1 fight here. You're going to probably have Godspeed pot sights to get an idea of where they're coming from. Adora setting up by the big door. Potentially going to land a Dragon Strike out the other side.
The ultimates definitely look good for Atlanta Reign here. If you're going to read the tea leaves in this fight, Godspeed needs to find an early pick here. Imprecise Pop trying to get the upper hand. And cleverly, Enlair doesn't try and go for the engage. He's not as aggressive as Baby Bay was on Temple of Anubis, perhaps. Dragon Strike doesn't do anything either. Doesn't even get rid of the supercharger. The Reign is still at full power. Self-destruct, Godspeed down. Enlair found the pick. He played so safe, and he's rewarded for it. And what can No Smite do? Fortified? He was hit by a bottom grenade, but he's going to get healed up just in time by IDK with the Valkyrie. Sarsin not going to make it back to his teammates though, but with Masa now out of the picture, there might be a chance. FRD might have to do this one himself. He gets the pick on Adora, now trying to deal with IDK, who quickly jumps away, but Astra returns from the high ground. Astra and FRD combine, and they're getting all the kills here. Another for FRD. Finally, though, he is desuited, and No Smite has to do it on his own. Sarsin returns to the fight, but the reinforcements for the Reign are coming in pretty quickly. Enlair appears and realizes it's better off just to recall and go back and switch. The Reign almost got ahead of themselves there.
Yeah, they thought about it. They were going in with a Tracer and Lucio combination. They had Dogman there as well. Maybe like a nano boost towards the end to just get them over the line, but it's been a full regroup as the Spark still hanging in this.
With the payload where it is, both teams are about equidistant in terms of their spawn location, so you know, it's not as if the Reign can continue to throw themselves at Hangzhou here. Sarsin sleeping right now. No defense matrix for this moment.
They want to wait to use this dragon because they'll probably also try and use the nano with it. Dogman just gets up.
Very lucky. He was put to sleep and the Dragon Strike came through, but Ursus was just a little bit better. Over the top, Sarsin goes for the self-destruct, but the Reign aren't even bothered by it. I wonder if they even noticed. Here comes the supercharger and IDK is cut down. Enlair is able to flank around on that high ground and find the pick. FRD getting desuited. FRD with a ridiculous map here. And now it's just up to Sarsin to try and keep things alive, but it is not to be in the Atlanta Reign. Claim the W! Dogman is on his feet. Normally he trash talks during the game. This time he saved it for after. They were concentrating, but the Reign get a crucial, essential victory here to give the guys a shot at playoff glory later on in the season.
And FRD was absolutely nuts on this map. 29 limbs with 19 final blows. The Spark as a team have 16 final blows through the map. Just a crazy performance from FRD on D.Va. He was getting a lot of the benefits of the nano boost as well, but what a really strong performance here from the Atlanta Reign.
Great discipline from Atlanta. They tried to run back in, you know, with a Tracer Lucio combo. They realized, wait a minute, we don't have the numbers for this. And this is so interesting to see how D.Va's role now changes when your backline is usually unharried and your front line doesn't need dive protection as they go in. You get to go off and do D.Va things. We now remember that D.Va is so good in a 1v1, great at eliminating those isolated targets. FRD gets it, and he's able to, as a result, leverage that to get a ton of kills and do a lot of carrying for his team. We're going to head now down to the floor, though, and get some words from Emily and Dogman.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Dogman. Congratulations to you and the Atlanta Reign. Now, Dogman, you guys just came from the Atlanta Bud Light homestand. So how have you guys channeled that energy into this stage?
I mean, we just used it to every effect. Like, this stage in LA is nothing compared to homestand. Like, the energy there was insane. So coming here, it's just like, you know, playing at home.
Sounds good. But still fun, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Dogman, we've been seeing you flexing on Instagram. I know you've been working out, so can you just casually flex for us, please?
No, I'm not doing that. Screw you. It was the lighting in the room. That was the only reason it looked good, okay? Everybody knows that you take a picture with the shadow and stuff, and that was the only reason, okay?
Come on, do it. They're begging for it. Do it. All right. Well, you know, on a more serious note, I just want to know what kind of positive impact has working out brought to you, to your professional life as a gamer?
I mean, it's about everything. We go to the gym together. We go for runs at night as a team. You know, it's like living in a frat house or something like that. You know, we're all friends and we all do like healthy things together. And you know, being a gamer isn't all just sitting and playing games all day. You need to keep your body healthy, right?
Sounds good. Keep it up. Love your dedication to health and fitness. All right, Blizzard Arena, give it up again for Dogman and the Atlanta Reign. Casters, back to you guys.
Dogman, when you get asked to flex, bro, you best be out there. You best be showing. I know he's been putting in the work there. I see it every day. It's like, when you post transformation photos, by the way, Dogman, it's not day by day. It's like do one and then do like the next month. Otherwise, I'm seeing the same photo of you like every day with that shirt on. It's killing me.
He's putting in the work. He's putting in the work.
Yes, he is. I actually hung out in their gym. It's a great setup there at the Atlanta Reign house, and clearly it's working for the mental game. So back to the standings, and guess who snuck into that top 12? It is the Atlanta Reign.
And the thing with the Atlanta Reign is that +2 map differential. It's huge.
I mean, green in a sea of red.
I mean, they're the only team out with just them and Seoul Dynasty in the 7 through 12 range with that positive map differential. And the Spark, that loss, it still keeps them above the Gladiators, but it's definitely getting close. As a lot of those teams could end up like 14-9 rather quickly, and then you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Spitfire definitely, breathing down their necks. Let's have a look at our player of the match, brought to you by Omen by HP. You know it. It had to be Erster for consistency across the series, just dominating on a Hangzhou, the Reaper opening up with. Obviously, we got to see some Mei shenanigans from Enlair on this first map, but if we're talking about someone who was just very, very strong from start to finish, he didn't get subbed out. He was constantly in there and playing. Erster playing the Mei himself. The Genji looked really good. When Atlanta can show so many looks now.
And I think Erster's a big reason why he can stay in, be as flexible as possible, play a lot of the different heroes that you're going to need in this meta. We can take a look at just his Hangzhou, though. From this match, a lot of nice dragon strikes. Only gets 3 kills, but it's more about the positioning, separating players off. 20 final blows is pretty huge as well, and then keeping it down on the deaths. I feel like Erster had himself a very good series here against the Spark.
Bizarre, you're less favored in the current meta. Dragon Strike is about forcing positioning. So the rest of your team can find kills. So Hangzhou there has a lot of utility outside of an ultimate that ostensibly looks like it's just geared for damage. But there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us today. Coming up at Watchpoint, though, we're going to talk about our 2 fan favorites returning to Overwatch League glory. And, of course, soon, as you saw there, going up against his former teammates. A lot of stories coming out today, a lot of emotions, a lot of big W's as well. Thanks for joining us so far. We'll see you on Watchpoint.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota, official North American partner of the Overwatch League. Toyota, let's go play.